Hey everyone, it's Emily. Welcome to another Grass River micro class. I'm on the Woodland Trail right now at the bridge. It's beautiful. Finch Creek is really high after all the heavy rains we've gotten, but it's a nice break from the heat for sure. So in the spring we did a class on foraging for wild edibles, but of course since we're into late summer now, there's a whole different feast out there ready to be harvested. So we are going to do wild edibles part 2 today. So let's go see what we can find along the trail. All right, team, we found one of my favorite woodland treats. These are wild blueberries. The plant is pretty easy to identify once you get a good feel for it. They've got these, you know, like about 1 inch to 2 inch long leaves that are kind of oval shaped that come to a point but not like a sharp point. They're usually smooth on the edges, kind of thin feeling. They're alternate along the stem. And these plants never get super big, depending on the species of blueberry, but the ones that we find around here in Grass River, the ones you find in the swamps and wetlands, usually don't get any taller than like 1.5 feet or max 2 feet off the ground. And so you can find wild blueberries in swamps, but there's also a species that grows in more upland areas. And carpets the ground, is like one of the main ground covers in areas like drier, like mixed hardwood and pine forests in places like Sleeping Bear Dunes. But all of the species are in the genus Vaccinium, which also includes a few other edible berries like cranberries, huckleberries, and lingonberries. So what a great genus. And you can see that this berry, there's one right here that's just starting to ripen, and then, you know, a little green one next to it, a couple more little green ones over here. So, you know, we are just approaching peak blueberry season. We're not quite there yet. It's probably early to mid-August. So you have plenty of time to, you know, check out trails through either swamps or, you know, like those mixed hardwood pine forests that I talked about, and seek out some blueberry plants and plan your harvest. Alright, it's a little dark, but next we have Wintergreen, which is this plant right here, and right here, and right here, and it tends to grow kind of as a ground cover. It spreads by runners, so oftentimes you see big patches of it. And this grows in a wide variety of environments. We get it in the cedar swamp, but also like in the more upland, maple-dominated forests and also pine forests. It is evergreen, so it keeps its leaves year-round. So you can find this, you know, just as the snow is melting, the wintergreen leaves will start to, you know, be uncovered and emerge. And this is, you know, the source of the oils of this plant are the source of flavoring for wintergreen gum. So the leaves are incredibly aromatic when you crush them. And so for harvesting for this plant, I recommend only taking 1 leaf from each plant. You can see it's a pretty small plant, so you don't want to take, you know, all or the majority of the leaves from one plant, because you want the plant to still be able to photosynthesize. And, you know, other ways to identify this plant besides its shiny, dark green, evergreen leaves, this time of year you often get the little flowers. They're kind of like bell-shaped and white. You can see a few more right here. And also it'll get red berries later in the season. And so to use wintergreen, what I really like to do is I actually just like to pick a leaf and chew on it as I'm hiking down the trail. You know, it's a great way to quickly freshen your breath. But you can also use it in any place that you would use mint. So making a simple syrup and infusing it with wintergreen, and drizzling that over ice cream, putting that in coffee, using it in cocktails are all great uses. And then also you can make a tea just by steeping the leaves in hot water, and that is you know, a long used herbal remedy to soothe upset stomachs. All right, one of my favorites, this is wood sorrel. And it might look a lot like clover to you. It definitely has 3 leaflets, just like clover. But if you look at the leaflets carefully, they are heart-shaped, which clovers are just, you know, kind of circular, round. And then they also have this fold down the middle, and these leaves actually fold up during rainstorms or when the soil's too dry or at night. So anytime that they're really not being used or to conserve water, which is a neat adaptation. And this plant grows, it is prolific, it's almost weedy. It's actually the most common weed that I get in my garden. You can also find it along roadsides and just in poor soils in general, like in fields. And I like to use this green, this plant just to eat as greens, to mix into a salad. It has a wonderfully lemon tart flavor. Or you can put it in pesto or use it as a replacement for gremolata if you're into Italian cooking.
All right, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you learned something and that you're able to get out and seek out and harvest some of those delicious and nutritious wild foods. And 2 cautionary notes before we go. Remember the foraging principles of never taking more than 1/3 of the patch. So you always want to leave some so that the plant is able to propagate. Also leave some for wildlife. And also, you know, always check with the landowner before you harvest to make sure that harvesting for personal use is okay. Oh, and then also, thirdly, you know, I'm not an expert on wild edibles, so if you're unsure, you know, never eat something unless you're 100% sure what it is, and, you know, consult multiple sources. Try to go out with an expert if you can, if you're a foraging newbie. All right, that's it. I will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Bye.